Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Now this week's video we're going to have some fun and we're going to go back to the basics of photography and go out and take a picture with a camera that costs virtually nothing. Now the camera in question will be a pinhole camera. Yes, some of you will have made them, etc., but there will be people out there that's never done it, so this video's aimed more towards the people that want to try and make their own pinhole camera. I'm not going to be overcomplicated about it. I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is and how simple it is to create these pinhole cameras. Now you can buy them ready-made. These are a 045 pinhole camera. They're made by Zero Image. There are other makes out there. And then there's a 2000 pinhole camera. This takes 120 roll film. Now they are beautiful cameras. They're made of hardwood and brass. And the key to these cameras is the pinhole. They are precisely made with a laser cutter. So you do get the sharpest possible images from a pinhole camera with these type of cameras that have had laser cut pinholes. But it comes at a price. This camera probably costs you around about 280 UK pounds. This one will be, I'm not sure, 150 pounds. I've not checked the prices, but there'll be something in that region. Whereas this camera, which we're going to make into a pinhole camera, it's just a box. And we're going to make a pinhole camera. So it's basically going to cost us nothing. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. Show you how to make one, not get too technical. Show you how we can calculate the actual pinhole size and the focal length. And then when I've made the pinhole camera, go out and take a picture and then come back, develop the negative, and in this case we're going to be using a paper negative, and come back and develop it. And when it's dry, normally you would contact print them in a dark room, and the actual size of your print would be the actual size of your paper negative. But in this case we're going to move from the analog side once we've develop the negative, and we're going to get that negative, copy it digitally onto the computer, because I want to make a decent size print of it. So we're going from totally analog, and then we're moving over to the digital side to create a bigger print of the image. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to make the camera, how quick and easy it is, and the tools that you need to do that. Right, the first thing you're going to need is a box, obviously, to make the pinhole camera. Now these type of boxes where one part pushes into the other are brilliant because they're light tight, and the other advantage is when you cut the paper to go into this larger box, if you cut it slightly smaller than this box, so it just drops in, then when you place the other part of the box and push it tight up like that, it holds the paper negative in place so it can't move about, and it keeps it flat. So these are great, but if you haven't got one of these boxes, any box will do as long as you can keep that paper held in place. Now the reason that you don't want the paper too tight is that when you come to want to take the paper out of the pinhole camera, you don't want to be prodding with your finger in there and scratching the surface. Just make it so it will just tap out like that. Now you can cut this paper obviously in safe light, so it's easy to do. Now just to make sure that you know where under red safe light where the emulsion side is, I'm using multigrade glossy paper for the paper negative. You just cut a little notch at the top right hand side, so when you're in the dark, if you're not sure, if you feel for that notch and it's at the top right, you know the emulsion is facing outwards, and that's the way it wants to be. It wants to be facing outwards like that. And then when we put the pinhole front on, the emulsion is facing the pinhole. So with that out of the way, the next thing, or the other things that you're going to need, is a sharp knife. You're going to need a pin. You're going to need some tape, some sandpaper, fine sandpaper, and an actual tin itself. These tins are great because it's very thin metal, it's easy to cut, and it's easy to puncture with a pin. So that's the only things that you need really. So the first thing I have to do is, with that pin, is get the front part of the pinhole camera where the pinhole is going. That's this part. And cut out a little square in the centre, and then I can, once I make the pinhole, put the pinhole inside there and tape it in place. So I'll cut that out now and show you that when it's done, and then I'll show you how I'm going to make the pinhole. Right, as you can see, I've cut the hole out in the centre. Nothing fancy, rough and ready, and I'm just going to paint it black or use a marker pen just to make sure that it's black around the edges. That's good enough. Now I'll get the pin and place it down there like that, and get a hammer. Oops. Somewhere in the centre, and then just give it a couple of taps. Pull it out, and there we've got our pinhole, if you can see it. There. And then at this side, you'll find that when you rub your fingers over it, it feels a little bit rough. So in that case, we get the sandpaper and just give it a fine rub over the top. So we take that, don't take much, that blurring away. So that's gone now. And then the next job is to fit that inside the actual camera. So we'll do that now and I'll show you it. Now before we tape the actual pinhole into the camera, we need to determine its diameter, because if we don't do that we can't calculate the f-stop, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So what I've done, I've scanned the piece of metal on my flatbed scanner, and this is the actual piece of metal, and there we can see the hole that we've created. Now to measure it, we use the measuring tool in Photoshop, drag a guide across to one edge, and then drag another one to the other edge. As I say, you don't have to be super precise with this, it's near enough. And looking at that up at the top, it's round about 0.5 millimetre. So the actual pinhole size is 0.50, and we can use that figure to calculate the actual f-stop. Right, I've got the pinhole measured and it's taped secure into the camera, and that's it from the actual front. Now the pinhole, I calculated it to be 0.50. Now what we have to do then to calculate the f-stop is we close the actual camera up and then get a measure, which I've got one here, and we measure the actual width from the pinhole to the back of the of where the paper is, to the back of the camera, and that's 63 millimeters. So to calculate the f-stop, it's a simple equation. We divide 63 by 0.50, and that gives us an f-stop of f126. So that's the f-stop that we're going to work at. So basically that camera is finished, other than I have to make some sort of shutter at the top. I have to think about that, how I'm going to do that. So it closes it off while I'm not using it, and then when I take the exposure, pull it back, and finished it, put it back on. Right, we're nearly there. All we need to do now is create an exposure chart, which makes life a lot easier when you're out with your pinhole camera. Now what I would suggest is download the Pinhole Designer app. It's a great little app. It gives you really precise sizes for your focal length and pinhole size, but I'm not going to go into all that. This video is all about creating a simple pinhole camera. So to work this app, if you put in your pinhole size, which is 0.50, and then the focal length, which we calculated at 63 millimeter, and then we go to the leave all the rest as it is, then go to the exposure, make sure that that's unticked. It includes reciprocity failure for film. Make sure it's unticked. Then put in your calculated f-stop, which was f126, and then we simply hit calculate. Now what it's done, it's calculated the exposure times at f22, and then the actual resultant times in at f126. And because most light meters won't meter at small f-stops, we take a light reading f22. Now let's say we do that and we get a reading of 8 seconds. The actual exposure time at f126 is 4 minutes. So it's simple. If you're like me and you're not good at maths, this makes it very, very easy. So copy that, photograph it or print it, and just take that with you. So that's it, we're ready to go now. It took me approximately 10 minutes to make that pinhole camera. So it's very easy to do, anybody can do it. It's great fun, and it's been creative. So let's go out and take a picture and see how we go on with my homemade pinhole camera. Right, I'm nearly at my destination where I'm going to take this one picture with a paper negative. And I love to come here when I'm testing out new cameras, etc., because it's calm. There's not a lot of people about to distract me. Often as not, when you're shooting with large format or pinhole cameras, you know, you get people asking you questions, etc., about what you're doing, and it just distracts you. So here, I know it's going to be quiet, and I can think and just concentrate on what I'm doing. So we'll go to where I'm going to take the picture now. You probably might know if you follow me where I am. I'm in the cemetery at Osley. As I say, it's nice and quiet, and I can just think about what I'm actually doing, etc. And I'm not very good around people videoing, so this place just suits me fine. Right, nearly there, we'll get the camera set up. The subject that I'm going to photograph with my homemade pinhole camera, you've probably seen it before if you follow my channel. I've photographed it many times with the pinhole camera, large format, 35mm. But it'd be good for me to do this because I'll have something to judge how the pinhole camera's performed against some of the other pictures. Now, the lighting is quite good today, really, because it isn't too bright and sunny, and this is where you can struggle with paper negatives. They can get very contrasty and difficult to print, so this light's going to help. You know, it is advised when you're doing paper negatives that you pre-flash the paper, so basically you just add a little bit of light to the paper, and it just tones down the contrast when you actually develop the picture after you've taken the exposure. A yellow filter can help, but I don't think I would use a yellow filter because there's not a lot of blue light about, because there's no blue sky, etc. So I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to keep it simple and take the picture as the camera is, just a whole, and not using no filtration and no pre-flashing on the paper, and just show you how easy it is really to make a pinhole camera and get some sort of image. I'm not after anything perfect, just to show that it is easy to make them and you can get decent photographs with a camera with no lens. So I'll get the camera set up now and we'll take a light reading, etc. Right, just setting up the tripod now. The thing is, my homemade camera has no tripod sockets fitted to it, so I'm going to have to, and I'll show you, fit it onto the tripod head with the elastic bands. I'm sure it'll be okay. So I'll pull that one down there, take it as far down as I can, and one at this side. And that should be okay. So as I said, there's not much wind, so I don't think there'll be any vibration. So I'll let me show you setting the camera up in the distance that I'm going to photograph this statue. Right, I've got the camera set up on the tripod and it's all levelled, and the distance from the statue, it's around about, set it to around about 3 feet, and hopefully I'm going to get in the whole of the cross at the top here, and then from the bottom of the statue or thereabouts all the way up, and as I say, get this crossing and a little bit of sky. All that, I think that'll probably blow out, so that's the idea. So I think I'm happy with that, and then I'll take a light read and we'll take the exposure. And keep in mind, I am metering f/22, but I will convert it to the f/126 aperture from the chart that I copied from the Pinhole Designer app. So keep that in mind, because it can be confusing. Right, let's get a light meter reading taken. Right, I'm rating the Ilford multigrade paper at 4 ISO, so it's going to be a slowest exposure. I'm going to take a light meter reading, an instant one, measuring the light falling onto the subject, and it's giving me 4 seconds at f/22. Now when I look at the chart that I got from the Pinhole Designer app, the actual exposure at 4 seconds is 2 minutes. So it's 2 minutes at f/126. So I'll take the exposure now, and fingers crossed it'll turn out. My timer out. Right, shutter cover removed. Let's take the exposure. Let's move that GoPro pretty quick. So I've just got to wait now for the countdown. Put my stopwatch there. 29 seconds into it now. And can you believe the sun's coming out? I don't want that really. Hopefully it goes back in again, which I think it is, so that's great. It'll flare this pinhole if it's too bright, so I want some dark cloud to come. It's typical this, so I can't do it again, otherwise I have to go home and reload the camera with fingers crossed we're going to be okay. Right, I'll get back to you when the exposure's done. Right, that's the exposure time up. So it was 2 minutes at f/126, and I've got my finger over the pinhole because I can't find the cover. So I'll find that cover and put it over the pinhole, stop the light getting in, and then we'll go home and develop and see what we've got. Right, found the cover. It's all on and light tight, and we'll say farewell to the statue once again. Now this is the beauty of film photography, especially pinhole photography. The fact that it took me half an hour, 20 minutes to make a simple camera from a square from a cardboard box, not square, oblong, and then I'm able to come out and I'm able to take a picture of something without a lens, and it's just incredible that you can do that. And also you can expose it onto a photographic paper. So as I say, we'll go back now and get the paper developed and see if it's come out okay, and then we'll then I'll show you how I get the actual paper negative onto the computer, and then enlarge it. Now the thing is, using other methods such as contact printing, you're really stuck with the size of the paper negative you've taken. So this paper negative is, I think it's 3 inches by 4 inches. Now if I'd have done a contact print under the enlarger, that's the size of the print. Now the way I'm going to do this is digitize the paper negative, so I can get it onto the computer, edit it, and then I can enlarge it and get a decent size print. So if that works, I'll do that and I'll print the image out and we'll see what it looks like. Right, back home to the bit I really enjoy, seeing what we've got. All this anticipation makes it all worthwhile. Right guys, I'm back in my dark room. I've got the paper negative, it's still secure in my homemade pinhole camera. Now the beauty of paper negatives is that we can work under red safe light. We can actually watch the development process. Now if we use the right developer, we can actually develop by what's called inspection. Rather than time by inspection, we're watching the negative slowly build. Now what we're looking for is really the shadow areas, that's the lighter areas on the paper negative. We're making sure that there's not too much density builds up in those areas to ensure that we get decent blacks, not weak blacks. And when we feel that it's got to that stage, we can pull it out and stop the development. So we're developing, as I say, by inspection rather than time. Now the key to doing that is not to use your normal paper developer such as Ilford multigrade developer. Those types of developers develop too quickly and they build up contrast too quick. You've no control over it. But using film developers, and in this video I'm going to use this, Adux Adenol, if we dilute it, very weak, 1 to 100, I'm going to dilute this, we get then a slower development that gives us a chance to watch it develop, plus it keeps the contrast down. So the key to it is using a film developer and not an actual paper developer. There are other developers out there that are good, HC110 or Kodak D76. They're all great developers, but the key to it is have them very weak so it allows you to be able to develop the paper negatives by inspection. So I'm going to get the paper negative, the red light on, white light off, get the paper negative out, and I'll attempt to show you me developing it under the red safe light, and we'll see what result I come up with. Right, getting the, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm getting the paper negative out of the camera, and then I can just see the notch at the top. So that's the top. Bob the negative into the tray and then put on the developer, and then just check. I'll check the time. I've got a clock on the wall. Get it onto it very quickly, and then just keep developing, agitating it gently. And then it'll take a while for it to appear. So I'll just speed this bit up. So I'm at the 30-second mark and it's just starting to appear. It's the darker areas, I think. No, it's the light areas. The highlights are appearing. I don't know if you can see this. So I'm looking at these areas, if you can see that at the bottom, and in this area at the far left hand side. You probably can't see this, but just looking at those areas, it's very difficult under this safe light to see if we're getting any detail in the shadows there. I think there is. I think it's building up. Speed it up a bit more. Now we're at 2.5 minutes, and I can't really tell, but I think it's nearly there. So I'm going to dip it into the stop bath. That'll stop the development. And then bob it into the fixer for a minute, and then we'll just see what it's like. So I'll show you that when it's fixed. Right, this is the last few seconds of the fix, and it's looking quite good. It's not over contrasty. I can see we've got decent shadow detail there and here. The highlights don't look that overexposed, and what I am pleased about is I've got the whole of the the statue in. So that was a good, what you might call educated guess. Right, get this washed now, and then we'll get it digitised and have a look at it on the computer. Right, just a quick look at the paper negative now it's dried. Now this is the area that I was talking about, the shadow area, and you can see that we have got some clear areas with a little bit of density there on the grass and up on the trees there, and I've pulled it out I think just about the right time. We've got highlights that don't look too bad, they're not too dense, and we seem to have nice shadow detail around the statue itself. So I'm very pleased with that. So we'll scan it now and get it digitised and get a closer look on the computer. Right, we're going to move away from the analogue side now to the digital side, so I can edit this picture on the computer and make a bigger print of it. So I'm using my mirrorless camera to photograph the piece of paper. You can do it on a flatbed scanner, but I'm preferring this way as I keep using it more and more. So take the picture, and then transfer it over to the computer, and I'll edit the picture and we'll have a look at it. Right, we're nearly at the end of the video now, and we've reached the final destination, the actual print itself, and I can tell you I am highly delighted with the way this has turned out. It's got that beautiful ethereal quality that the pinhole camera gives, and especially on a paper negative. It's not sharp, it just has that soft, as I say, ethereal look to it. It's really nice. Now I've printed this on a fine art matte paper, and it's printed at 16 by 12. It's got a lovely warm tone to it that I do with all my prints, and I will sign it and title it, and I'm going to put it on eBay for auction to help support the channel. So if you want to do that, follow the link in the description and put a bid on. Now if you did win this this print and you put it on a wall, you will get people that don't understand pinhole photography. They'll walk up to it and they'll say, oh, it looks really soft, it doesn't look clear, it looks a little bit blurry. Until you tell them that it's been made with a pinhole camera that cost nothing and took about 10 minutes to make, and it's from a paper negative, then they might change their mind. And the fact also, taken with a camera with no lens. It's just absolutely amazing. I've thoroughly enjoyed making the camera and going out, taking a picture and getting to this print. It's been a very rewarding and, as I said before, a creative process. So if you've never tried anything like this, I've showed you how easy it is to make the pinhole camera, to get to the pinhole negative, and then and how to get to this print size. Right, if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, a like. Better still, subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell. If you have any questions, leave them below and I'll get back to you. And as I always say, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. The pinhole camera. What a creative tool it can be.